planning isn't like a personality trait. Planning is something that you learn. You're not, women aren't good at planning or bad at planning. You just don't have a plan to plan. Welcome to the Mindset Mirror Connection podcast, the podcast where we debunk the eat less, move more, shrink more mentality and focus on what really matters, which includes your relationship with your body, food, self-worth, and the behaviors that align with all of those. I'm your host, Christina Hathaway, licensed therapist with specialized training in food and body obsession, certified personal trainer and nutrition coach. At the Mindset Mirror Connection podcast, we believe what you say in your mind, you see in the mirror. So let's have a conversation about that. Before we get into today's amazing episode, I want to make sure you've hit that follow button wherever you're listening to the Mindset Mirror Connection podcast. Also, if you like to listen to this pod on the go, make sure you have those downloads turned on. As always, I love a 5-star rating and review, and I want to thank you for your continued support. Now, let's get into the episode. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Mindset Mirror Connection podcast. I am so excited you took this time out for yourself to learn something about your physical and mental health. And if you are new here, welcome to this amazing podcast. I am Christina Hathaway. I'm a licensed associate marriage and family therapist in the state of Arizona, not currently practicing. And aside from that, I am the founder of the Mindset of Matter coaching program, where we look at your identity, your body, your mindset, all as one system. Right? One system, and we integrate all of our practice to focus on that, as well as what we talk about on this podcast. So if you like that kind of shit, make sure you are following me and subscribing to this YouTube channel, because I was talking to someone about this the other day. I said, look, people don't even need to work with me as clients, because everything I teach you here, if you put into practice, you will be successful in regards to your health and wellness goals. Hands down, you could do it yourself just by listening to this. So welcome, welcome, welcome. And today I want to talk about something that I don't think I've actually sat down and spoke about on this podcast. You know, for a lot of my clients, they don't have a discipline problem. They actually have a problem planning. And they look at planning, whether it's their exercise or their food, you know, what their schedule is going to be, and actually being real with themselves about the time that they have to give to their health and wellness habits. They tend to think that they have to, number one, have one solid plan, and that plan is just going to magically happen every week once they make it. And that's so far from the truth. And so I wanted to talk about that, because really planning and having these core skills that I'm going to teach you guys will make a calorie deficit or a nutrient change. So say you want to like add in more fiber or protein, whatever that is, or you're adding in exercise, it's going to make it so much easier. I cannot tell you this. It's kind of funny so it is Monday. And when I look at my clients' week ahead of time, they will be in a calorie deficit and they will not have tracked ahead. And to me, I'm like, come on, guys, that's such an easy thing that you can do to make yourself successful. So I'm going to talk about all of these tips I have. Now, I want to say my program is not all about tracking food. We actually use other ways of helping people feed themselves better and feel themselves well. I will talk about tracking, and I will talk about the other options here for you, because we're not a program on performative metrics. Tracking can be very performative, and it oftentimes can lead to cheating or withdrawing, and we don't want to do that here. So welcome back. So a 12-week behavioral weight loss study published in Health Psychology in March of 2026, this is brand new, found that adults who ate the same meals on repeat lost an average of 5.9% of their body weight, compared to 4.3% of people who ate more varied diet. For a 200-pound woman, that's a difference between 12 pounds and 9 pounds. Same calorie deficit and obviously a different plan. So if you feel like you've white-knuckled your way through every meal decision, every exercise decision, or you're just white-knuckling your way through a deficit and not seeing results, then this episode is going to be for you. I am going to lay out exactly what you need to do in an effort to make it simple. This is a skill that a lot of people don't teach you. I actually taught myself how to do this, and I'm going to share it with you guys today. So again, that study is Hagerman out of Oregon Research Institute 2026. It was 12 weeks, and everyone in the study were behavioral weight loss participants. And the two findings were that dietary repetition, eating the same meals, and caloric stability, consistent intake day to day, both predicted more weight loss. For every 100 calorie daily fluctuation, weight loss dropped by 0.6%. And that's just one study that, when I went and did my research, I found research on decision fatigue. So this is nothing to do with weight loss, but I just thought this was interesting. So judges granted parole about 65% of the time in the morning and near 0% by late afternoon, recovering after a meal break. The brain treats decisions like reps. By 6 p.m., your prefrontal cortex is depleted. And that's exactly when women usually decide what's for dinner. And study 3 was Penn State on food noise, constant intrusive food thoughts that drain well-being and make healthy choices harder. Planning quiets that noise because decisions are already made. Your brain has a decision budget, as we've talked about in our load versus capacity episodes. And what should I eat? Like, what do I feel like eating right now? That question that you have actually puts a tax on that account, the same account that runs your business, runs your family, runs your relationships, runs all the things, right? So when we have a plan, we have one less thing to worry about. But so many people will be like, but that's so hard. It's so hard to plan, Christina. It's really not. You just have to put in the reps, which we're going to talk about. So I want to get into like common struggles of non-planners. And I am sitting here today having checked in with all my clients, and multiples of them, women I've worked with for a long time, say, I did not plan well this weekend, which I think is a skill in itself. They recognize that their plan did not work for them over the weekend. And from that, we can take from it and say, okay, how do we iterate that plan? What will we try next weekend? What might that look like? And this is what I'm about to go through is not judgment. These are things that people will go through when they're going into a new health journey, especially if they don't have the knowledge. These are just patterns I see, but not necessarily like character flaws of people. So I want to just say that out loud. So the 5 p.m. scramble, right? So standing in the fridge, standing in the pantry, you're completely depleted from work, and you have to figure out what to eat, right? And what do, guys? We default to takeout or whatever's fastest, right? This is where the mom meal comes into play, and you are eating cereal with like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich with chips. Well, you could eat that in a calorie deficit. You're not going to get a lot of nutrients from it. It's going to spike your blood sugar, and you're going to have cravings later on. It's not going to be as filling because you don't have those micronutrients in it, right? And so the I'm going to figure it out trap is something that a lot of my clients have false confidence in. They trust that version of themselves at 5 p.m. to make healthy decisions when they're not going to do it. I'm sorry to tell you, you will not do it. I will not do it. I know what I eat, and a lot of the things I'm telling you guys today, I do myself, whether I'm in a calorie deficit or not, just so that I know that I have sustained energy, I'm fueling for my workouts, all of those things. So what this does is it confuses flexibility with like freedom, right? So when you're, especially in a calorie deficit, like we want to add some flexibility into it, but also we don't have the freedom to just eat however we want. Even if we're not in a deficit, but we have goals like the ones I just talked about, I want to have sustained energy throughout the day. I want to fuel for my workouts. Like I'm going to work out really hard tomorrow, so I need to make sure that I'm fueling for that. And if I just kind of go at it willy-nilly, and I'm trusting that 5 p.m. version of myself, I'm going to fall flat on my face, and so will you, right? So the other thing is this idea that variety is a virtue. So there's this cultural belief like we need to be eating different things every day, making these really sophisticated meals. I had a client once tell me, she's like, I would give her little snacks to try. She's like, I'm not going to eat that. I'm not going to eat that. That's not how I eat. I like to make big 5-course meals. Okay, great. That's wonderful. Do you want to continue to do that, or do you want to lose weight? Because you doing that is actually hindering your weight loss, right? So as we've seen in this research, the opposite is actually true for weight loss. Variety is not a virtue. We want to have some variety with our meals, which I will talk about, but we can't just be making something new every day. That gets mentally exhausting because you have to then remember the macros, the micros, the measurements for every single one of those meals. And if you're doing that for 21 meals, that's crazy. That's a lot. And that's when it becomes exhausting because you're exhausting yourself. This is a choice that you're making to have a different meal every single day, a different breakfast, a different lunch, a different dinner, a different snack. Like that would exhaust me, right? So we've got the weekend amnesia, tracking very well, structured Monday through Friday afternoon, and then a free-for-all Saturday and Sunday. Interestingly, a lot of you don't realize, and I see this with my own clients, how much eating meals out, how many calories are in those foods. And then what people will do, because they're also not tracking or planning for those meals ahead of time, so that's where another plan comes in, they're not planning for meals out, is they'll find the lowest calorie food for whatever it is they ate at the restaurant. So for example, you might go to Red Robin, right? And Red Robin, I think their burger with fries is roughly 1,100 calories. But you're going to go into MyFitnessPal and you're going to find the burger that someone made at home. Like when I make a burger at home, it's about 300 calories. But that's not Red Robin. Like Red Robin actually has their nutrition guide online. So my clients have a Google Drive where I actually input every single nutrition guide that I could find from your national chains here in the States. And they're all labeled by the type of food they are. And like in our American section, Red Robin is in there. So it's like In-N-Out, Smash Burger, there's a lot of good stuff in there. So that's a resource I give my clients. And so now you're like, well, look, I hit my macros. I don't get why my weight went up. Right? Well, it's because number one, you did not plan for that meal accordingly or correctly. And number two, you then lied to yourself about how many calories those were. We, of course, have the all or nothing person. So the all or nothing planner, where they'll like hit it hard. They'll have this huge Sunday meal prep for 4 hours and they'll have everything done. And it takes 4 hours of your Sunday. Like Sundays need to be a time to like get your shit back together, but you're spending 4 fucking hours that you don't have to meal prep and thinking that that's the way you're supposed to prep and plan. And that burns you out. You're not going to want to do that. You're going to swear off planning for the next month because your plan sucks. It sucks. It's too time consuming. And quite frankly, you're not going to do it again. And so planning for the woman you wish you are, so the food planner, the woman who knows, you know, the portion sizes, like she's got enough reps or practice with portioning food that she can eyeball food. That's not who we are. We're not the woman who can get home at 5 p.m. and make a clear decision. That is not who we are. Do we want to be her? Yes. But that's not who we are right now. And that's okay, right? We need to fit into your life now, not going on Pinterest and trying to find 17 different recipes to work on over this next week. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen, right? So planning isn't like a personality trait. Planning is something that you learn. You're not, women aren't good at planning or bad at planning. You just don't have a plan to plan. And I want to reframe that. When you start doing this, it's going to take work. You're going to need to practice and iterate. That's a word we use often. If it didn't work this week, tweak it a little. See if that little tweak is something that kind of, I think of a tweak like you kind of put all the pieces together and it locks in, right? You like a key, you have one little, maybe not a key is a good example, but I'm saying, like just that little tweak locks everything in together and you are ready to roll. And your planning and how you approach these things will need to be flexible and adaptable. And you need to practice it like the skill that it is, right? It is a skill. It gets refined through reps, through sets, right? If we're talking about our body, and through feedback. And feedback is, did this work for me or did it not? And that doesn't mean failure. That just means, again, it didn't work for me. So the first time you do it, it's going to feel clunky. It's going to feel time consuming. But by the 20th time, you're going to figure out how to get there sooner. You're going to simplify it, right? So it goes from an hour to 15 minutes. Are you tired of wasting your money on diet and exercise program that leave you feeling pretty much the same? You're spinning your wheels, but the food noise is still there, the body dysmorphia, the overtraining and not seeing results, the emotional eating, it's all still there. But you don't think you have an option because they're pretty much all the same. What if the next program you invest in combines therapeutic practice with exercise and nutrition science and behavioral change? What if this program focuses on what you say in your mind so that you can have a better relationship on what you see in the mirror? Hi, I'm Christina Hathaway, licensed therapist with specialized training in food and body obsession, certified personal trainer and nutrition coach, and I'm the founder of the Mindset and Matter coaching program. Here, we see your mind, your body, and your identity as one integrated system and treat it as such. We focus on your self-defeating beliefs and understand how they impact your behaviors and thus the outcomes that you feel stuck in. We do this through the Mindset Method, my psychological curriculum that I've curated with over 15 years experience and adapted it to you, the average woman, and this coaching program. This is one method, one program, one coach, and let's face it, the one area you've probably never done the work on. So if you're tired of spinning your wheels and wasting your money, check out the link below for more information. And that's where patience and reminding yourself, like, this is a skill that I don't have, and that is okay. I'm practicing this skill. Because the plan is not to be perfect. It's never to be perfect. We are not perfect. The goal is to iterate on it. Did Monday's lunch fall apart today? Like, you know what? I did not realize that I was going to have such a busy morning, and I didn't have what we'll talk about, backup plan. And it did. It fell apart, and I ended up ordering Taco Bell. I want to talk about today, by the way. Instead, I made something at home. So when that happens, we just take the information and we adjust it and we try it again. Okay. So I wanted to just say that to you guys because so many clients are like, I had a client tell me today, she said, I didn't make a plan because my plan is only as good as until the next time I have to plan. And I'm like, well, yeah. That's right. You had to keep doing it. And I did talk to her about stuff that I'll tell you guys here is like, I don't have to plan because I know that I'm going to rotate through some of the skills that I'm going to teach you. So here we go. First thing is meal rotation. So picking 3 to 5 breakfasts, 3 to 5 lunches, and 3 to 5 dinners that you actually like, and then rotating through them. I cannot tell you how many clients want to recreate their meals. And of course, again, I already said that you're tired at the end of the day. The last thing you want to do is learn a new recipe, right? And it can almost feel defeating because you're like, fuck, now I got to do this too. I just want to chill out and relax. And that's where a lot of people get caught up in like planning and tracking is overwhelming. Well, they're making it overwhelming. You're overwhelming yourself. So instead, find those 3 to 5 meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I'm going to walk you through mine. Okay. Are you ready? For breakfast, I do either 1 or 2 pieces of sourdough with avocado. I do 20 grams I just get the avocado mash, 20 grams of avocado, 3 ounces of smoked salmon, 2 hard-boiled eggs or cooked eggs. I throw a little bit of seasoning on top of that, and I'll have some berries on the side. Breakfast 2, Kodiak cakes with 15 grams of chocolate chips, dark chocolate chips. Then I do a cup of egg whites with 20 grams of Tillamook cheese. I do about 15 grams of maple syrup. I do a half a cup of egg whites with a mission tortilla cooked in them. So it kind of like the egg whites surround the tortilla, and I'll put another protein, whether it's diced chicken, turkey, just like deli turkey, cheese, and it's a little breakfast quesadilla. I'll have fruit on the side, or if I'm just out of time, let me do the other one. The other one is Kodiak waffles with 4 ounces of the Costco chicken chunk chicken breasts. I put those in the air fryer for about 8 minutes, cut them up, and I do 15 grams of maple syrup. And then I also cut up strawberries and put it on top because it gives it like a sweet flavor. And then, like I said, if I don't have time, it's 8 ounces of Greek yogurt. I'll have some protein granola, about 20 grams of that, and then some fruit in that as well. That's what I rotate through. Like, how quick did I just tell you guys that? Why? Because I do that shit every week. For lunch, I use the chicken chunk chicken tenders from Costco a lot. I'll do a chicken tender salad. I'll either do my barbecue chicken tender salad or I will do my Caesar chicken tender salad. Sometimes I make a sandwich. I will do 4 to 6 ounces of turkey, a thin Sargento with lettuce, tomato, pickles, mustard, and then either some baked chips on the side. But I've been doing this like baby carrot thing because they're so crunchy. Like they make chips just seem so blah because they're crunchy, and I do like Bolthouse dressing on the side. Today I did my burrito bowls where I just do some ground beef. I have non-fat refried beans, salsa, cheese. I actually made a Mexican pizza today. So I did the Mission tortilla, beans. No, I melted the cheese, then the beans, then the meat. I have the Taco Bell sauce, then the tortilla on top, and I put lettuce and Greek yogurt and some salsa. It's so good. So I'll have a rendition of that. And that's really it for lunches, I think. Sometimes I'll make a salmon wrap where I'll do 3 ounces of salmon with some Bolthouse dressing, the avocado dressing, feta cheese, cucumber, and then something on the side there. So that's that, right? And then we rotate through the same dinners. We have our tostadas, which is basically what I said with the Mexican pizza, but just in tostadas. We do a Philly cheesesteak mac and cheese. We do a regular pasta. We do 2 different stuffed potatoes. So we have a Mexican stuffed potato, which is like taco meat, beans, cheese, salsa, or we'll do cheesy chicken stuffed potatoes, which is chicken, broccoli, Laughing Cow, and cheese. And then we'll call them Greek bowls, where we'll have like quinoa, some roasted vegetables, and some ground beef or chicken, and I throw hummus on top of it. So good. Copy those. My clients have access to all of those recipes in our program. It's all within our system, and we're slowly starting to put a lot of this in there. But just find that like all of those foods taste good to me. I enjoy them. I enjoy eating them. They're easy to rotate through. My husband knows how to make them because I'm not trying to teach him something new. He knows exactly the portions, and I know exactly the portions, so much so that I don't need to look at a recipe. I can just plop it in, right? And I know if I stay with those portions, I've actually added them in my FitnessPal as a meal, as my meals or whatever it is. So if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, if you put in food in my FitnessPal, so you say for lunch, you put in all your little things you had. And if you're like, this is one of those meals Christina was talking about, I could eat this again. On the side of where that meal is, there'll be 3 little dots. You hit that and it says save as my meal or add food, something like that. You click on it, you name it, and it just saves it for you. So the next time you go in, because you're rotating through the 3 or 5, you just go into my foods and click on it. You don't have to put every single thing in because you're keeping the measurements the same. So there's no, was it 100 grams of beans or 50? It's always 100. It is always 4 ounces of ground beef. It is always 15 grams of maple syrup. It is always the same, right? The only things that might vary some are like the chicken tenders, just because they're not completely like the same size, but it's close enough. Okay. So if you find the things that you like, try out 1 or 2 new recipes and see if that's something you already like. Or if you're someone who has been tracking for a long time, just look back on your meals that you've done in the past and be like, oh, like I can recreate these. I enjoyed them. Easy peasy. Okay. So meal rotation is so, so important. The other thing that is really important is meal pairing. So in my collective that's currently running, they have a nutrition guides that I created that pairs foods together that are high protein and high fiber. Because what we tend to do is we tend to grab the easy thing and we're not adding any substance to it. So for example, I was in California this weekend. I just got home today and I did a video on what I get from Starbucks because it's usually the only thing open. Mark and I, if we drive anywhere, we tend to wake up at 5:30 and get on the road. Like we want to get home to the pups. And that's why I have dog hair all over me because I love them. So what normally someone would do if they're like, okay, egg whites are high protein. Like I'm going to get those. And they're just going to eat the egg whites and have a coffee. And they're going to be hungry later. So what I like to do is get the egg whites and the oatmeal, or the egg whites and even like a bagel, right? Because it's going to give me some more energy. Obviously, there's fiber in both, and I'm going to feel fuller longer. And anchoring your meal around protein first, then fiber, then the rest, that is going to help you have more energy, stay fuller longer, lower food noise, which is so important. So while we're looking at that meal rotation, adding in that fiber and that protein is incredibly important. Okay. The next is meal planning. Now, for a lot of people, they think I have to meal prep on Sunday. I do zero meal prep. If I ever meal prep, it's because my husband is out of town, and it's just because he cooks our dinners. So I find ways, which you follow me on Instagram, I'm sharing all of these healthy tips for busy chicks is what it's called, but healthy tips for busy people. And I share them all there. But if you're not someone who wants to spend a lot of time meal planning, then we need to find ways to make our meals fast and easy, right? So things like buying frozen vegetables that you throw in the microwave is going to be just as good as if you chop them up and boil them yourselves, or using things like the air fryer, the Instapot, the crock pot. These are going to help you prepare your meals and plan for your meals without having to, spend all of this time on it on Sunday or whenever that is. A part of the collective is actually based on how much time that they have to prep meals. We have meal pairings that are high protein and high fiber that are under 5 minutes prep time. Now, these are going to be a bit more processed because these are frozen foods. These are foods you can throw in a microwave. But when you are really, really busy, my goal for you is to not put more stress on you. If we can throw something in a microwave or an air fryer and you can get the micronutrients you need, awesome. So planning for meals is incredibly important. But like I said earlier, or even with the collective, we need to look ahead of time, right? Still looking ahead of time. And we need to see, what is our schedule? How much time do we have? How much free time do we have to give to ourselves to make meals? Because if you only have 10 minutes and you're trying to bust out a 30-minute dinner, you're going to feel like you've failed. So that's that. Planning ahead, being real with your schedule, because y'all are high achievers. You'll be like, no, I can do that. Be fucking so real with yourself. You can't. You can't do that. You might be able to do that later down the line when you do the things I'm talking about here and you build on them, but you can't do that right now. And that is okay. Meet yourself where you're at. The other skill, especially within a calorie deficit, is planning for meals out. I have talked to you guys on the live stream as well on this podcast about how highly calorically dense meals out are. And there takes a skill to plan for them. The more meals out you have, the more you need to be planning. I have a lot of clients who are executives, and that's what I do for my executive clients. I am planning their food. I am telling them what to eat, where to eat. They basically only have to show up and put the food in their mouths because it's already laid out for them, at least the ones who give me enough information. I am moving towards that model of more executive health coaching because I really enjoy the planning that I do for my clients. So if you are an executive and you want done for you health coaching where it is concierge level, we are ordering your food in first class, we are ordering your food when you go out to dinner, or at least you know what we're going to get. I am calling the convention and figuring out what kind of food they're serving, and we're teaching you how to feed yourself well because you're tired of burning out and feeling like shit in your body. Check out the show notes for a clarity call. It is very high touch. It is concierge. I will only be working with 12 clients a year for that program. Coming back. Anywho, meals out. I'll give you an example of a client today. He and his wife are going on date night. They both travel for work. They've both been out of town. And he said, hey, this is where we're going. I happen to know that place. So I said, let's double up the salmon on the salad that they're getting. And they said, well, is that all you're getting there? And he's like, no, we'll probably get a few more other things. They go, well, I need to know what those are you're in a calorie deficit. So we need to be planning ahead. And he's really great. It's like, what are your suggestions? So I said, okay, unfortunately, the menu other than the salad is not great. So I said, you can do this appetizer and cut it this way, right? So there's some like fried fritters in it. So let's just have one of those. And then there's a side of Brussels sprouts, like do that as an appetizer, and shishito peppers, so that's planning ahead, looking at menus ahead of time and figuring out what it is that you want. I had another client say, well, what about when we're in a group and like all my friends are ordering food? Like, why can't I just order my own entree? I said, you need to be able to set that boundary to say, you know what, I'm really trying to feed myself in a way that keeps my energy up or that makes me feel good. And I'm just going to order an entree. And then for appetizers, finding those appetizers that are easy to track or high protein. Things like you can track chips and salsa, right? So if I just take one spoonful, like a tablespoon of salsa or guac, and then I get 10 chips, that's easy. I can look at that. That's easy to track. Or shrimp cocktail is a great one because you can have a shrimp, right? Or some oysters. Those are examples that I gave to her. I said, be careful though when it's like a bunch of dips and a bunch of stuff and you don't really know where you're going with it. And then again, like I said, you come home, you guesstimate what you had, and oftentimes you forget things. And then when you are tracking it, you're finding the lowest calorie option, which is a no. So restaurants aren't the enemy. Eating out is not the enemy, but being unprepared to do that will stall your progress. I promise you that. Okay, schedule scanning, as I already talked about, this is, a Friday to Friday capacity check-in is what we do with the collective. We look ahead for the week that's coming up. Where are they in the world? Do they have any late nights? Do the kids have extra activities? Are there travel days, right? Capacity should dictate your plan, not the other way around. So when I was talking about people thinking they have to have one plan when it comes to their health and wellness routine, that is not true. Because one week you might be a rock star and be able to knock out 30-minute meals. But the next week you're not. You need 5-minute meals. And again, if you don't have that flexibility, you will be door dashing, right? Or making the mom meal, as I talked about earlier. So how do we do that without creating all these new plans? You just take your current foods, right? And you find what is the shortcut option to that. So let me think here. So with my Philly cheesesteak mac and cheese, it's 4 ounces of ground beef. It's 120 grams of bonza chickpea pasta dry, like a cup of the frozen peppers and onions, 2 Laughing Cow cheese, and 28 grams of shredded cheese. So that takes about 15 minutes to make, but if I only have 5 minutes, I'm going to grab the counter jalapeno mac and cheese from Target, and I am going to add to it some more vegetables. The last time I did it, I added Brussels sprouts. I don't suggest that. I would add broccoli to that, or you could even just have like vegetables on the side, or you could even add some cauliflower rice. I like the Trader Joe's cauliflower rice, the spicy Mexican cauliflower rice. So good. So you see the difference between those two is one, we're making it, right? We're putting it together ourselves. The other is the counter jalapeno mac and cheese. We're adding more fiber to it. Okay. And that's us saying, this is my if then plan, which is skill 6 here. Backup planning. The if everything falls apart plan, right? So having 2 emergency meals in the freezer, like those counter meals, or my clients in the collective, and all of my clients get access to my nutrition guides, which are all meal pairings from Trader Joe's, Costco, Target, Sprouts, and your general market. Oh, and Whole Foods as well. And they know how to pair these foods together. So whether it's Trader Joe's and having, the ahi burgers in the freezer and some, bread of some sort and making a little burger, great. Like, that's so important. When my clients are always like, thank God you told me to have those burritos. They've got some cool burritos at a lot of different places, actually. Trader Joe's specifically. I wouldn't have eaten breakfast this morning because I was so swamped, but I remembered I had that in the fridge. I'm like, yes, this is what I'm talking about. Like, this will work for you. So having those alternates in the freezer that are easy to go to, that takes away, the takeout default, removes the takeout default, because takeout takes a long time too. Shopping, having a shopping plan that works for you, because I think too, when it comes to meal planning and meal prepping, it's not just like the food has to get to the house, right? And that can be overwhelming in itself. So like for me, all of my clients choose one grocery store that they're going to go to. And then we have their nutrition guides based on that. And then I tell them, I'm like, Instacart. Did you guys know that a lot of your credit cards that have points give you benefits like Instacart for free or Shipped? Shipped is another one that does a lot of the stores. DoorDash. What is the other one? Uber Eats. They do stores as well. They will shop for you. So look at your card benefits, because if you can get your food delivered to you, awesome. Like that's going to save you a ton of time. And again, it's keeping it simple, right? Now, if you are someone who is on a budget, having a meal pickup is also simple. The nice thing about it too is you're sticking to your plan. You're not going in the store and deviating from the plan. You're sticking to your plan because you're like, okay, here are my 3 to 5 meals, breakfast, lunch, dinner. I know that this is my grocery list. If you need to, take a picture of your meals, put it in AI, say, write a grocery list for me for this. Use AI for grocery lists. You say, these are the meals, are the foods that are in each meal, and make sure, you write it out. And then obviously check the pantry, because if you're like my husband, you're going to order things that we have like underneath is like the backups, and some things he like constantly is buying backups for. I'm like, we don't need tortillas anymore. So make it, again, keep it simple. I shop at Target. I shop at Trader Joe's. That's where I shop. And, if you need some of the staples, obviously, like if you're out of salt, I guess you can get that at Trader Joe's too. But you know what I'm saying? Like grocery pickup or Instacart it. And then when it comes to workouts, it's the same plan, right? Having flexibility, having your 45-minute workouts that you normally do on an easy week, and figuring out the if-then around the workout. So if I don't have time, then I'm going to just focus on my main lifts. Now, for those of you who don't work with me, I don't know who is writing your workouts, but the way I write workouts is normally there is a main lift. There is a lift at the beginning that we're putting all of our time and energy into, and then we'll have more accessory work at the end. So if I don't have time, I'm going to focus on my main lift, right? Or if I can't even get my main lift in, then I'm going to go for a walk. Because sometimes when people are traveling, obviously, they maybe only have dumbbells at the hotel, which I write custom workouts for my clients based on their hotel gym for my concierge clients. So you get it. Like, how can I adjust? If I know my week is full, then it's just a main lift week, right? Or if I know my week I know that I can only work out 2 days a week, but I can give it more time, then maybe I take my 3 workouts that I have and cut them into 2, right? Learning how to adjust. And again, remembering that depleted you at the end of the day is not going to work out. So if you know the week is tough, you probably want to put your workouts at the beginning of the day. And I know you're going to tell me, I don't want to work out at the beginning of the day. I'm not a morning person. That is a thought. That is a belief that you have. That is what you say in your mind, you see in your mirror, meaning your actions or inactions. Try it. I have so many clients who are like, oh my gosh, I am so thankful now that I am doing workouts at the beginning of the day. I get it done with. I feel good about myself. I have sustained energy all day, and I'm more consistent with it. Now, not everyone, my surgeons, my nurses, I hear you. This is not for you. So having that movement and recovery plan, when are the workouts happening? When can I rest? And rest is important to schedule. Your rest days should be in alignment with like what's going on in your life. So if you know so this week for me is crazy, you guys. I got home today. Tomorrow I have my Olympic lifting training. I have clients all day tomorrow because Wednesday I have to do my client weekly reviews because I am in a seminar Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Okay. So for me, My rest day is probably going to be on Thursday because I'll train tomorrow. I'll train Wednesday. Thursday, I've got to be in Tucson, which is 2 hours away by 9 a.m. So I got to leave here at like 6:30. That gives me a buffer to get there. So that would be my rest day. I'm not trying to push myself to work out that day. I might work out. I don't know the itinerary for this conference. I might work out at the beginning or at the end of the day. But again, this is a spiritual conference that I'm doing. I'm working with a spiritual coach. I fucking love it. And I might be depleted, right? So I would look at that and say, okay, then Friday morning I can get up, get a workout in at the hotel gym, which I already know because I stay at the same hotel when I go to Tucson. That's another thing about planning. I'll get to that in a sec. I know, I'll get to that. I know I'll get that workout Friday and definitely Sunday because I come home from Tucson, I go to a gala Saturday night, and Sunday I'm doing a speaking engagement. So it's a lot. And I know that by looking ahead, I know where my workouts are going to fall. And that's what I want for you. So speaking of that planning thing when traveling, or even meals out. When I used to travel for work, and I know a lot of my clients travel the same places because they have a territory, I would find the best hotel with the best gym. Now that to some can sound disordered, but I was gone for like a week at a time. So I would find the best hotel with the best gym with the best surrounding food. And also like a Trader Joe's or a Sprouts nearby or an H-E-B. Why? Because I would go and get some Greek yogurts. Also, the hotel, I always will have at least a mini fridge and a microwave. Like the one I'm staying at in Tucson has a full kitchen. And in the same plaza, there is Reforma, which is a Mexican food restaurant, and they have these bowls. And the bowls are nice, the black beans, some quinoa, like high fiber. You can choose your protein. There is an F45 in that same plaza. There is a breakfast place in that same plaza. The hotel has breakfast there, which I can doll up. And then across the street is a Trader Joe's. So also, I will go and get a couple things off my Trader Joe's list because I can microwave them and eat them there. I'm going to share all of this on my Instagram, how I make this all work when I'm traveling. I'm so excited to be doing more speaking and traveling. So planning ahead. And then the other thing is, like I said, stick to the same restaurants. Like if you're taking clients out and in the same area, like just try to stick to the same restaurants so you know what you're going to get. It's just wash, rinse, and repeat. That's super duper easy. So those are the tips, y'all. If you have any others, please put them in the comments. I would love to hear from you. Planning ahead is so important. It is the one thing that once you master it, it makes this shit so easy. Because then also, say that you just start by planning ahead and we're not actually in a calorie deficit, we're just at maintenance. Then you've just kind of run these reps so many times that when you go into a calorie deficit, you just adjust the portion. Right? You just adjust from, 4 ounces to 3.5. My current portion adjustment is actually in a small deficit where I will cut out. So with that Kodiak cakes breakfast, I usually put butter, but I cut that out when I'm going into a deficit, and I cut the maple syrup and then I added the strawberries. So that's just a little tweak that I made. I don't change the meal. So if you can do this, give yourself patience, give yourself time, iterate. If it's not working, just make those small changes until it clicks, everything's locked and loaded in place, and you're ready to go. I promise you, when you do this, it will change the trajectory of even your deficit. It gets you in, it gets you out. Oh, one other thing that I said I would talk about at the top is tracking ahead. If you know you're rotating between these 3 to 5 meals, you know that you've already got the groceries for them. Put the fucking meals in MyFitnessPal ahead of time. I should not be going into your MyFitnessPal and not seeing that your week is done. Like, it's so simple because you're like, well, what if I want something else to eat? Well, then you just change that meal. You don't change the whole day. Your whole day is done for you. And yes, it can, like, when you're first doing it, it's going to take time. But if you use the shortcut, so the add the meal, my foods, I'm getting my phone up for those of you not on YouTube. So we have, let's see here, my meals. So in my meals, I have literally all of these foods. So new pancakes and eggs is in there, breakfast sandwich, mini burritos, chicken Caesar salad, chicken tender Caesar, banana nilla wafer bowl, which is the yogurt bowl I make, broccoli cheese potato I talked to you about. Like, use stuff like this, because then once it's in there and you say, okay, I'm going to do these 3 breakfasts on rotation. So on Mondays, breakfast A, Tuesdays, breakfast B, Wednesdays, breakfast C, Thursdays, breakfast A, you just go in, boom, 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 just stick it in there. Then also, if the next week you're just going to wash, rinse, and repeat, you can go into the previous week and copy to date and just copy it over. It's brilliant. So don't make it harder on yourself. This is what the collective is all about. I'm going to be doing this collective once a quarter. We're obviously in it now, but it is surrounding all of this and really teaching you how to adjust and pivot and be flexible with your food, how to pair foods together, how to prep foods accordingly. In our full send, which is our full capacity pathway, they do have meal prep options, but then I also give them, if not that, then do this. And if not that, then do this. Meaning, if you don't want to smoke the roast, let's get the prime rib roast from Costco, right? That's an easy swap. So awesome. So I hope that you guys took away some things that you can put into practice today. The easiest point of entry is, again, pick those 3 breakfast, lunch, and dinners and rotate through them this week. And then notice the mental space that opens up for you and notice how consistent you are, okay? The 5% of people who keep their weight off are not doing it because they have more willpower. They make fewer decisions. They make fewer decisions. They know, they have a plan. They adjust that plan as they need to, not perfectly, but iteratively. So that is that. I hope you enjoyed this. If you know anyone who is struggling with their diet exercise plan and you're like, hey, maybe you should try this, please share this podcast. Also, I need your 5-star ratings and reviews, specifically on Apple Podcast. We had someone leave a 1-star review for a reason that I don't think a 1-star review was warranted. You can read it. So if you guys could go on, if you haven't reviewed me already, that will help push that back up, because it brought me down to 4.8 stars. And I'm a high achiever too. So I want to be in my 5-star range again. So if you guys could do that for me, it's the easiest way for you to support this podcast. I do this. I make 0 money off this podcast, other than if people work with me. But to be honest with you, that's not a lot of people. We don't get a ton of people coming in from the podcast by itself. A lot of our business is all referral based, to be honest with you, because our clients love what we do. So I don't make any money off of this. I want to continue doing it for you. And I don't like a 4.8 review. So you understand that. Anyway, thank you guys so much. And I'm going to leave you the same way I do every single week of reminding you that what you say in your mind, you see in the mirror. Bye-bye.